Spent months sneaking around, thinking I was in control. Then my husband sent me a video. It was footage of me with my lover. I raced home, but the house was dark, his keys were gone, and on the counter, a torn wedding photo. And a note that read, "Game over." I never thought I'd be the kind of person who did something like this. I never thought I'd destroy my own life. But here I am. It started small, like these things always do. Little choices that didn't feel like choices. Tiny steps in the wrong direction that didn't seem like they mattered. And then one day I looked up, and I was standing in the middle of a disaster I created. Daniel and I had been together for 10 years. He was steady, reliable, the kind of man who never forgot an anniversary or left a text unanswered. He made me feel safe. Maybe too safe. We had routines. The same Friday night takeout from the Thai place down the street. The same grocery list every Sunday. The same quiet goodnights before rolling over in bed. And then I met Alex. It wasn't supposed to be anything. He was just a coworker. Just a friend. Just someone who made me laugh when work got stressful. But looking back, I know I was lying to myself. The first time he touched my arm when he left, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. A rush. Something new. Something exciting. I started finding reasons to stay at work later. Just a few minutes here, a few minutes there. Then longer. An hour. 2 hours. Eventually, I stopped pretending I was working late at all. Daniel would text, "Long day," and I'd text back, "Yeah, sorry. I'll be home soon." But I wasn't sorry. Not yet. At first, it was just talking. Long conversations about nothing and everything. He made me feel interesting, like I was the most fascinating person in the room. And I started craving that feeling. Then it turned into lunch breaks that lasted too long. Then coffee runs that somehow turned into walks through the city, side by side, shoulders brushing. And then one day, Alex kissed me. I should have stopped it. I should have pulled away. But I didn't. I let it happen. And after that, I stopped pretending. I told myself I was in control. That I could handle it. That I would stop when it got too far. That I would never actually let it become a real problem. But the truth is, once you step over that line, there's no going back. I spent months sneaking around, lying, covering my tracks. It became second nature. Clearing my texts. Changing Alex's name in my phone. Checking over my shoulder when we met up. I thought I was so careful. I thought no one would ever find out. And then one night, everything came crashing down. Daniel texted me in the middle of the day. Just 7 words. "Come home after work. I need to show you something." I stared at my phone, my stomach twisting. Something about the way he wrote it felt wrong. I tried to push it out of my mind. Told myself I was overthinking. But when I walked into the house that night, I knew. He was standing in the living room, phone in his hand, staring at me like he didn't even recognize me. I barely had time to open my mouth before he spoke. "Press play." He handed me his phone. And then I saw it. A video. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. But then I saw myself. Me and Alex. A hotel parking lot. Holding hands. Walking inside. I stopped breathing. The date in the corner was last weekend. I felt like the ground had disappeared under me. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. "Where did you get this?" My voice barely came out. Daniel didn't say anything. He just reached into his pocket and held up a tiny black device. "A tracker. I put this in your car," he said, his voice terrifyingly calm. 3 months ago. 3 months. My heart slammed against my ribs. He knew. He knew this whole time. I opened my mouth to explain, to say something, but no words came out. Because what could I even say? Daniel took a step back, like being near me was unbearable. "Don't," he said. Just that one word. I started crying. I didn't even realize I was until I felt the tears dripping down my face. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I'm so sorry." He shook his head. "I don't want to hear it." Then he turned and walked into the kitchen. I followed him, desperate, but then I saw it. On the counter. A torn wedding photo. And next to it, a single piece of paper. A note. 2 words, written in his precise handwriting. "Game over." My hands were shaking as I picked it up. I turned around. But Daniel was gone. I ran to the garage. His car wasn't there. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I texted. Nothing. I checked our bank accounts. He had already transferred money out of our joint account. I went to our closet. His suitcase was missing. He had planned this. For months. He let me think I was getting away with it. He let me think I was in control. And then, when he was ready, he left. Just like that. I sat on the floor of our bedroom, staring at the empty space in the closet where his clothes used to be. And for the first time, I truly understood what I had done. I destroyed my marriage. I destroyed us. And the worst part? I did it to myself. I sat there for hours, The house felt different. Too big. Too quiet. Like all the air had been sucked out of it. I kept waiting to hear his car pull back into the driveway. I kept hoping my phone would light up with a text. But it never did. Daniel was gone. I should have left the house. I should have given him space. But I couldn't. I stayed up all night, pacing, replaying every moment, trying to figure out when he started to suspect, when he decided to put a tracker in my car. 3 months. For 3 months, he knew. He watched me come home and act normal. He kissed me goodnight knowing I had been with someone else. He held on to all of it quietly, waiting for the right moment. That scared me. Daniel had never been the type to lash out, never the type to yell. But now I realized his silence was worse. He wasn't reacting. He wasn't fighting. He was done. And I wasn't ready for that. The next morning, I drove to his office. His car wasn't there. His secretary, Julia, looked at me with a mix of sympathy and judgment when I walked in. Is he here? I asked, my voice shaky. She hesitated. He took some time off. My stomach twisted. Do you know where he went? She looked uncomfortable. I don't think it's my place to say. I gripped the counter between us. Julia, please. She sighed, then leaned in. He booked a flight last night. A flight? To where? I don't know. But it wasn't a round trip. I walked out of there in a daze. Daniel had left. Not just the house, not just for space, he had actually left. I drove home, my heart pounding. I checked our shared accounts again. He had taken what was his and left me with what was mine. No sudden withdrawals, no missing money, no signs of anger. It was methodical. Like he had planned it. Like he had been waiting for the moment to disappear. I called his parents. His mother answered. The second she heard my voice, she let out a sharp breath. I don't think you should be calling us. I felt like I'd been slapped. Please, do you know where he is? A pause. He doesn't want to talk to you. Can you just, she hung up. I stared at the phone. I called again. No answer. I texted his best friend, Mark. Please, just tell me where he is. I just want to talk to him. Mark responded an hour later. He doesn't want to be found. That was when it finally hit me. Daniel wasn't taking time to think. He wasn't deciding what to do. He had already decided. And he wasn't coming back. I couldn't breathe. I spent the next few days going through the motions. I went to work. I sat through meetings. I nodded when people spoke to me. But my mind was somewhere else. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. But it was never Daniel. Then, a week later, something happened that I wasn't expecting. I got a call. From an unknown number. I answered without thinking. Hello? A voice I didn't recognize. Is this a pause? Sorry. I don't know if I should be calling you. I gripped the phone tighter. Who is this? Another pause. Then, in a softer voice, I think we need to talk. My hands went cold. About what? I know Daniel. My blood froze. Who are you? A deep breath. Then, my name is Claire. And I think my husband is involved in this. I felt like I had been punched. What do you mean? Another pause. Then she said a name. A name I never expected. Not Alex. Someone else. Someone I didn't even know Daniel knew. And in that moment, everything I thought I understood about the situation changed. I gripped the phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. Say that again, I whispered. Claire exhaled sharply. I think my husband is involved in this. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear her. Who's your husband? Another pause. Then she said a name. Nathan. I felt dizzy. Nathan? I didn't know a Nathan. The name meant nothing to me. I started, but Claire cut me off. You might not know him, she said. But I think Daniel does. I had no idea what she was talking about, and I wasn't in the mood for riddles. Just tell me what's going on. She hesitated, like she was trying to find the right words. Then she said, my husband has been acting strange for months. He started working late, taking calls in the other room, changing passwords on his phone. And then, last night, I found something in his desk. A cold chill ran down my spine. What did you find? A plane ticket. To the same city your husband flew to. I felt like I couldn't breathe. How do you know where Daniel went? Because I found another ticket, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. One with his name on it. I sank down onto the couch. My mind raced, trying to connect the pieces. Nathan. A plane ticket. My husband. Where did they go? I asked. She hesitated. Then, finally, she said, London. London. Daniel was in London. With her husband. Something was wrong. Something didn't make sense. This wasn't just about me and Alex. This wasn't just about my betrayal. There was something else happening. Something bigger. Why would they be together? I asked. Claire was quiet for so long I thought she had hung up. Then, In a voice so soft I almost didn't hear it, she said, "I think this has been about more than just you." The words hit me like a slap. I thought I had been the one sneaking around. I thought I had been in control. But what if I wasn't the only one with secrets? What if Daniel had some of his own? I rubbed my forehead, my mind spinning. "Okay," I said. "Let's say you're right. Let's say our husbands are in London together. Why would Daniel leave without telling anyone? Why would he?" Claire cut me off. "I don't know," she admitted. "But I do know one thing." "What?" She hesitated again, and when she spoke, her voice shook. "I don't think they went there for work. And I definitely don't think they went there for fun." I didn't know what that meant, but I could hear the fear in her voice. And something about it made me sit up straighter. "Claire," I said slowly. "Why did you really call me?" Silence. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. "I think they're looking for someone." A sharp, electric tension crackled in my chest. "Who?" Claire exhaled shakily. "I don't know." The room around me seemed to shrink. Daniel was in London, with a man I didn't know, looking for someone. And I had no idea why, or what would happen if he found them. The days after Claire's call were unbearable. I couldn't sleep, couldn't focus. I barely ate. My hands trembled every time my phone rang. I was waiting for something, some kind of explanation, some kind of answer. But nothing came. Daniel was still gone. No texts, no calls. His social media hadn't been touched. His parents wouldn't talk to me. His friends ignored me. It was like he had been erased from my life overnight. Except for Claire. We kept talking, piecing together what little we knew. She was just as desperate for answers as I was. We found out that Daniel and Nathan had both taken out large amounts of cash before leaving. Claire checked their credit card statements. No charges since they landed in London. It was like they were trying to disappear. And then, a week later, I got another message. But not from Daniel. It was from Alex. "We need to talk. Now." I stared at my screen, my pulse pounding. I hadn't spoken to Alex since the night Daniel left. We had agreed not to contact each other, not after what happened. But something about the way he wrote it, short, urgent, made my stomach twist. I met him in a small diner on the edge of the city. He looked different. On edge. His knee bounced under the table, his fingers drumming against the chipped countertop. When I sat down, he didn't even say hello. He just leaned forward, his voice low. "Do you know where Daniel is?" My throat tightened. "No. Do you?" Alex let out a breath and ran a hand down his face. "No," he muttered. "But I think I know why he left." I stared at him, my skin prickling. "What are you talking about?" He hesitated. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. He tapped the screen a few times before sliding it across the table. A photo. A grainy security camera still. Of Daniel. And Nathan. Standing outside a small cafe in London. Talking to someone else. A woman. She was turned away, but something about her posture, the way her head tilted slightly, felt familiar. I swallowed hard. "Who is she?" Alex sighed. "I don't know, but I think," he stopped, shook his head. "I know Daniel didn't just leave because of us. There's something else going on." I leaned back, my hands shaking. This wasn't just about my betrayal anymore. Something else was unraveling. Something bigger than I had realized. And I was in the middle of it. Claire called me that night, her voice breathless. "I found something," she said. I gripped the phone. "What?" Daniel and Nathan didn't meet by accident. She was speaking quickly, her words tumbling over each other. They've known each other. For years. A cold chill ran down my spine. No, that wasn't possible. Daniel had never mentioned Nathan. Not once. "Are you sure?" I whispered. "Positive," she said. "I found old emails between them. From 5 years ago." I felt sick. Daniel had been keeping secrets from me long before I ever strayed. Why would he hide that? I asked, my voice barely audible. Claire hesitated. Then, in a shaky whisper, she said, "I think it has to do with her. The woman in the photo." The walls around me felt like they were closing in. I had spent so much time thinking I was the one who had been hiding something. But Daniel had his own secrets. And I had no idea how deep they went. The next day, Claire called again. But this time, her voice was shaking for a different reason. "Nathan's back." I nearly dropped the phone. "What?" He just walked through the door like nothing happened. She sounded on the verge of tears. "He won't tell me where Daniel is. He won't tell me anything. He just keeps saying, it's done." Done? What did that mean? I drove to Claire's house. When she opened the door, she looked exhausted. Her eyes were red, her hair a mess. Nathan was inside, sitting on the couch, his hands folded between his knees. He barely glanced at me. "Where is he?" I demanded. Nathan didn't move. Didn't speak. Claire crossed her arms. "Tell her, Nathan." Silence. Then, finally, He looked up at me. And what he said made my blood turn to ice. He's not coming back. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Nathan exhaled. Daniel found what he was looking for. That's all I can say. No, that wasn't enough. I stepped closer. If he found what he was looking for, then where is he? Nathan's jaw tightened. Gone. My vision blurred. I felt my knees weaken. Claire reached for my arm, steadying me. Gone where? Nathan stared at the floor. And then he said something I will never forget. He told me to tell you, he forgives you. Something inside me cracked. I had spent weeks chasing answers, waiting for Daniel to come back, thinking I could fix this, thinking that if I just explained, if I just found him, I could make it right. But I was wrong. Daniel had already made his choice. And I would never see him again. I don't know how long I stood there. My body felt numb, my mind completely blank. And then, without another word, I turned around and walked out the door. It was over. Not just my marriage. Not just my mistakes. Everything. I don't know if Daniel will ever reach out again. I don't know if I'll ever get the real answers. But I do know one thing. The person I was before, the person who thought she was in control, she doesn't exist anymore.